There is a rhythm deeper than thought and older than language. It pulses through the earth and echoes through our bodies. In this time of planetary recalibration, there is a call. Subtle but insistent. Can you hear it? What happens when we realign with the cyclical intelligence of Earth, Moon, and Womb? What are the messages stored in our sacred centers, waiting to be heard again? And what becomes possible when we stop trying to master time and instead begin to move with it? Welcome to The Spiral Within. Womb wisdom, sacred cycles, and the remembrance.
Tune in with the Galactic Spin Podcast and expand your view.
In Lakesh, and greetings to everyone tuning in with the Galactic Spin Podcast in this now moment. My name is Mikuak Rai, Kin 126, and I'm joined by Rubén Llinás, Kin 113, on this, our 36th episode of the Galactic Spin Podcast ceremonial experience. In Lakesh, Brother Rubén, how you feeling?
In Lakesh, Brother Makua, and greetings to everyone tuning in to this 36th episode of the Galactic Spin. So happy to be here again, like every Gregorian Monday. We have an appointment here with Destiny, just to keep the track of this sacred pilgrimage towards the golden intersection of timelines. And we are glad to bring today an extraordinary host that is dear to my heart and to my soul. We have been walking together for many years and lots to learn today, and happy to have this conversation.
Absolutely. Interesting times certainly happening as we speak. I'm very excited to share the guest interview that you did earlier today with your beloved friend. It's honestly, it's remarkable. And for me in this work, it's really the dream come true of hearing women who are profoundly dialed in and aware, self-aware, also including the application of these codes regarding the calendar. Because as women really take to applying that layer of the energy to the whole, then they're going to teach the babies. The babies are going to be nurtured and brought into proper alignment in consciousness and the entire thing. So it's just really encouraging today with hearing our guest and what she has to share. Profound, really profound, especially for this moment, and again, speaking to a little bit of what's happening, being here currently in Los Angeles as we broadcast right now, and a lot of eyes around the world happen to be on Los Angeles right now, given what's really literally happening right behind me. If you knew where I live very near downtown. So we live on more of a mound or a hill, so we can see a bit into the valley, you know what I mean? Though we can hear the sirens, they're going off, concurrent as we're recording right now or going live right now. So it's pretty interesting, a little surreal, considering all the attention being put on this area right now and for the reasons why. So, and I think it's an interesting opportunity, though, too, because obviously part of the intention here is just to put the fourth dimensional lens on third dimension human affairs.
Yes.
And bring that clarity, the crystal clarity. In fact, today being Crystal Tone Day, we're inviting the crystal clarity because there's resistance happening in the streets.
Yeah.
And I would say righteously so, on the basis of righteous indignation as it relates to human rights, as it relates to care and concern and compassion for each other as human beings, on the basis of our mutual human rights. And so what's happening right now is obviously egregious in relationship to human rights and not honoring human rights. Though it's also understood on some level that we are, in a system, as it were, that, in this case, the system arguably is by many accounts, it's being forcibly taken over, we could say. And part of what we're seeing happen in Los Angeles right now is a part of exercising that level of willingness that the current administrations are willing to go to perform the type of takeover, I would suggest, though presented as, the protection of borders and things like this. So it's a very convoluted, very confusing time for many, many people. And, part of our objective here with this broadcast, with this space that we've been holding space for, is, as we've said for several heptads now, we've been in a fractal time compression experience together. So we're seeing things quicken, we're seeing things accelerate, both, I think, in a generative direction for those that are really tuning into the wave and frequency of that which is generative, as well as that which is disintegrating. Or the opposite of integrating, the opposite of becoming whole. So it's a very interesting time, though we really, intend to continue to keep a lens of the natural time perspective, the galactic spin lens on this, because part of this is an expression of the gestation cycle of birth, what is being born. We get a chance every 260 days, whether it's our personal Zolkin spin or it's our collective Zolkin spin. So when we look at events on a basis of those 260-day cycles, we get to ask ourselves or be aware of what is being brought into birth, what is being born, what is being gestated into life, what are we generating, what generation, what are we leaving for the generations even?
Yes, so, and especially now that we are about to complete this in just one wave spell more, one cycle of 13 days, a full 260-day cycle of the galactic spin. On Kin 92 magnetic human. So important that at this stage, when we are approaching that moment of gestation, of completing that gestation period, that you are holding the frequency there, and that parallel to this other narrative that we are being sold through the media and through the social media too, that we have an alternative, and it's so important to really focus our attention in everything that we want to see growing and flowering and manifesting. So holding that space, I really appreciate what you and Giselle are doing there, and shout out to Giselle also for that fantastic intro video.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, in a moment, we're going to run that again because, as with all things human, I've had a little technical challenge on this end, but I want people to feel the whole frequency of that video, and we'll run it again in a moment. Just such an interesting time, as you said. I mean, we're here in this space where this energy is like present, while at the same time, we're also really witnessing a major shift in this past 260 days. We know we set out with the initial intention of breaking free from the zero-sum game. And so
Mm-hmm.
what we're seeing now, in a sense, 260 days later, nearly, and also bear in mind that 260 days was 1 year following the
Mm-hmm.
Israel-Hamas conflict that is still happening, right?
Yeah.
Is still in the field, very, very, very much so. And so that's also parallel with this immigration situation happening right now in Los Angeles as well. And all of these events are converging.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a convergence of events in the 3D, which is this material dominated zone, which everybody on some level has been made to compete for limited resources. In a
Yeah.
sense, it's made to be this zero sum game. And we've literally set out to personally deconstruct that as a part
Mm-hmm.
of this exercise, as a part of this exercise to make conscious, make sacred, make art, knowing that we're going towards this epic moment called the golden intersection of timelines.
Mm-hmm.
That is, again, what we set out to really help present and observe with others around the world. And I'm grateful to say we have people here, even in the chat, tuning in from Japan, and wonderful to have you in Taiwan, and I mean, all over the world. And that's been the
Mm-hmm.
intention, is to unite. While we see the things conflating and disintegrating, and right behind me, you know, in the valley, in Tongva Valley here, what they call Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Basin, Tongva, the original
Mm-hmm.
owners of the land, this is what it's about. It's about recognizing the source. It's about
Mm-hmm.
recognizing the time that we're in. And as we unite together more and more, particularly as we unite in the energetic,
Mm-hmm.
not even just the material. Yes, the material has consequences. And at the same time, thought precedes everything. So what we're looking at is a noospheric opportunity to unite in consciousness, and that will shift the framework that we're seeing disintegrate out here in the way it is. It's,
Yeah.
in a sense, it's stuck, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We could, not go into that tonight necessarily, though
No.
maybe it's worth exploring in another episode, because it is happening. And it's also happening along with the energy of the sun. Let's
Mm-hmm.
not forget. So with that said, let's go ahead and tune in with the Earth's pulse, unless you have any other remarks you'd like to make.
No, no, no. Just giving thanks for being able to have this sacred space to bring a new perspective and bring empowering information, because sometimes watching the news and tracking the news cycle can be disempowering.
Mm,
So what we want to do here is really give people tools to break free from that game,
yes.
and really create space for the new to come in, because these are just old movies playing out on the collective,
Yeah.
that are from a paradigm that it's deconstructing and it's collapsing. So parallel to that process, the new is emerging, very subtle, very gentle,
Mm,
like a gestation of a baby in the womb. So let's
mm,
start that conversation there,
mm.
and bring that, open that space for the new.
Give thanks.
Well, and having said that, and knowing that everything goes in cycles, we received news today that the sunspots number for the month of May, the Gregorian month of May, went down to the levels that were not seen in until 2022. So that kind of brings the question if we are going to see a rebound of the solar activity, or if we are going to see that progressive uh, curve going down of the solar activity. Let's remember that the sunspot numbers is the way that scientists In the 3D, measure the solar activity. The more sunspots, the more solar activity, because those are the areas of the sun where the solar flares and coronal mass ejections kind of gestate. But from the NOAA website, we got this little blurb that says the prediction panel predicted cycle 25 to reach a maximum of 115 spots occurring in July 2025. The error bars on this prediction mean the panel expects the cycle maximum could be between 105 to 125, with the peak occurring between November 2024 and March 2026. The updated prediction can be considered as a recalibration of the 2019 panel prediction based on new observational data. So this is basically new observational data, and they were predicting that even though the cycle was going to peak in July of this year, it seems to be decreasing now, even though it doesn't look like, by all the solar activity that we have been tracking, and by the fact that everything that we are seeing down on Earth is a reflection of that solar consciousness and the explosive charge that we have been seeing. Actually, we had yesterday an earthquake in Colombia, in Bogota, where I used to live, and hopefully nothing major happened, but it's very unusual to see this kind of earthquakes, 6.5. Also, the Fuego volcano in Guatemala erupted during the weekend. We mentioned last week that the Etna volcano was exploding in Italy. So there is an element of uncertainty of what is happening, what is really going to bring this 2025. But certainly the golden intersection synchronizing with this peak of solar activity in this year is something that we have always highlighted, and something that we will keep track of, because even though this graph shows a decrease in solar activity, well, the sun is alive, and at any point it can rebound and bring us some surprises. So there is not much more to share about the celestial events, more than this event that was reported on King 72 a couple of days ago, that they speak about the Furbish decrease, which is the background cosmic energy that comes in to our Earth from the far sides of the galaxy. And this is also from Space Weather. They say a Furbish decrease, named after the American physicist Scott Furbish, who studied cosmic rays in the early 20th century. It happens when a coronal mass ejection, CME, sweeps past the Earth and pushes galactic cosmic rays away from our planet. On June 1st, 2025, a fast-moving CME crossed the Earth's orbit and thinned our planet's radiation environment. Cosmic ray fluxes dropped as much as 25%. We see in the graphic the drop after the CME impact that we covered on a week ago here. And we haven't seen a decrease like that since 2003, 22 years ago. So even though, like we mentioned before, we track the energies that are also affecting our biology and the telluric forces on Earth, like the sun, like these cosmic rays, well, this is, let's say that is giving us a small pause to really integrate everything that has been going on for the last year or so with this peak of cosmic rays and solar activity. And it's a moment of integration. It's it's always good to have a pause, and we're going to speak more about that sacred pause that we need to get used to, connect with, a moment of really stopping everything what we are doing, be present, and integrate this rapid change that is happening.
I feel like, being present is something I certainly need in my life, as handling all the technological things I find myself constantly keeping track of. That's it's I'm sure many of us can relate, right? We're constantly, involving ourselves with our devices or any of that. I mean, even the example of this. So we know it's necessary. It's true. We have to become more and more deliberate about that pause. And so at this point, let's go ahead and sink in and tune up. And thank you to everybody in the live chat tuning in with this episode tonight, feeling the love from all around the world. We give great, great thanks for your presence. And as we continue to walk the 13 moons, as they say, and navigate through natural time, as those who have been tracking with us know that we are nearly completing this blue rhythmic storm year. It's been profound. It's hard to put it into words how live it's been and continues to be, though we know the journey continues. So in that, we know that we are in the crystal moon of cooperation, and that theme continues to emerge in many, many beautiful ways, both within this effort and among the global family. It's just remarkable to see what's emerging as we have made a little conscious, I think, in the last episode and over this moon. We're in that year observed even by the UN as the International Year of Cooperatives, which is a very interesting backdrop, particularly for indigenous communities, as we really realize the shift, the transition, the stewardship of the earth and the water and the resources and the land is really shifting into those original keepers and stewards as needs to be, because that's really the only direction where we're going to find rebalancement and we're going to find regeneration. The paradigms that are battling for aspects of what appears to be control or freedom right now have, unfortunately, on many levels, a battle of futility. I've sometimes described it as a race to the bottom, but we do know that this moon of cooperation is really setting a completely new tone and trajectory. And as our guest will indicate, hopefully she mentions this, about that power of 13, that harmonic factor, and how it's due to the 13 that we can spiral out of the 12. So just something to pay attention to as we navigate these codes. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, just to highlight the fact that the cosmic moon 13, is going to host this also event of the cooperatives around the world. So it's kind of a new social contract. We will be speaking more about it, and it's how to bring that human family together. I actually saw some videos today of what is happening in LA, and all these communities that have been marginalized are coming together, and they were coming together peacefully, and there is a different reality that is projected out there. But in reality, we are just one human family, and borders are really a fiction. So this will only strengthen our connecting links and bonds as humans. And this is precisely the theme for this entire year of 13 months, the fractal of a wayspell. We call this the planetary service wayspell. Each moon equals one kin. We are in the wayspell of the yellow human, that is, like we have mentioned, all about really claiming our free will, our autonomy, our sovereignty, to, from a place of wisdom, influence the world into a new direction, influence the people around us, influence the paradigm, so that we can really turn the tables and create these new social contracts and these new avenues for interacting as a species, as one family. So this the theme for this entire crystal moon, according to this fractal count, is the blue crystal night moon. That means that this is a 28-day to dream the abundance into being, to really universalize that abundance and dedicate ourselves to the earth and to the evolution of all the species here on Earth. There is plenty of abundance for all the species to thrive on this planet. So this is a moment really during the year, and during each wave spell, the crystal tone sets the tone precisely to come together and have a dialogue and really brainstorm on new ways to create to bring the highest dreams into reality.
Mm-hmm. It's also worth mentioning that the kin that codes this moon of cooperation is also the kin of the actual July 5th date of the International Day of Cooperatives.
Yes.
So that's a beautiful synchronization, knowing that kin 103, July 5th, will actually hold that frequency as well, that we're anchored in fractally this entire moon. And it's like the prelude. It's amazing, honestly, when you really observe it. It's beautiful.
And the numbers also, if we see on the next slide today, is a beautiful combination of harmonics, because we are on day 11 of this crystal moon, and this is kin 77 on the Tzolk'in count, so that's 2 double-digit numbers, and on the ancient Maya long count is 7 Ben, the equivalent of kin 33. And on the Gregorian years is day 160, which is the equivalent of the golden ratio. So while we see all of that on mainstream media, there is a symphony or a melody playing and bringing us together in perfect resonance of these numbers: 11, 33, 44 days difference between the counts for kin 77. And we have if we listen, these frequencies really are operating through us, through our DNA, because it's part of our biology, which is part of the conversation that we are going to have today with Hwaneetah, with our guests, how they really allow us to experience life in a whole different manner, just we would pay attention to them. So these, like we mentioned, this entire wave spell that we are navigating, that started actually on kin 66, 11 days ago, it's part of the second cycle of 52 days of the Tzolk'in matrix. Is the white castle of crossing, is a stage of refinement of everything that we initiated in the first 52 days. And it goes, it ends tomorrow on kin 78, the white cosmic mirror. We already covered in full on our last episode all the major synchronizations taking place with Venus during this wave spell. We invite everyone to check that episode if you miss it. And this is really, this wave spell of the World Bridger is connecting us to the next wave spell, which is the next slide. The wave spell of the storm is the 7th cycle of 13 days in the Tzolk'in matrix. And there is plenty of events happening on that wave spell. We will cover them in detail on our next episode, but let's say that it's a preparation for entering the solstice point of the year in
There we
the
go.
4 seasons of the year. So we are ending the spring in the northern hemisphere and the fall in the southern hemisphere, and we entering summer and winter. So the sun is reaching its peak amount of light in the northern hemisphere, and we will see probably a reflection of that in the Western world. In the northern hemispheres, a lot of these events that are happening probably are going to peak during the summer. That's what people are we all are feeling it, and it's really a crescendo. And the next wave spell will close with the completion of 38 years of the first galactic spin ever recorded, the first day of the first galactic spin. So it's bringing us back to the origin, and it will connect us with the 260-day mark that we mentioned. The next wave spell will be the human wave spell. Basically, we will enter a fractal of 13 days that resemble the 13 months. It's like a nested cycles within cycles. So the energy it's amplified and is in resonance with the entire theme of the year. So that this next wave spell of the storm, which is also the theme of this entire year, the year bearer, is going to bring that energy of regeneration and self-generation into a high point that is the wave spell of the human, and that fractal time compression of 13 days within the 13 months. So we will speak more about that in the next episode, and also celebrate the life and the legacy of Dr. Jose Arguelles, that is completing 20 Solkins next Solkin. He's synchronized with the solstice, the summer solstice in the north, and also for December 21st, 2012, he will be the energy that is preceding that solstice. So all of this is kind of preparation for this peak point of resonance when we complete the 13 solar orbits on December 21st, 2012, from crossing that event horizon of the 13th backtune of recorded history that we close on December 21st, 2012. So we're getting ready to enter into a heightened state.
Yeah. Absolutely, y'all. And time is art. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. Do you have anything you'd like to intro about the interview we're going to share here in a few moments with people?
Just a reflection that I was having today while preparing for the interview, because I met with Hwaneetah almost 20 years ago in the US. We were both being Colombian, living in the US as immigrants, and going through all the situations that we are seeing today. Our reflection in LA. So it is beautiful just to have this conversation today in English, to share with the people from the north in English language what we have learned by being there, and what we have really explored during all these 20 years of walking together and sharing experiences, to share it with more people in English. So it's a beautiful full circle for me having her today as a guest.
Well, let's get into it. I want to acknowledge Ishel as well as Delia Sky for the opening intro video. We had a little technical glitch, and so it got cut off early. So I want to, as we enter this interview, the sharing space with Hwaneetah, Ken 165, that we also do justice and play the complete intro video, the opening transmission for today's conversation, if that's all right.
Of course.
Okay, here we go.
There is a rhythm deeper than thought and older than language. It pulses through the earth and echoes through our bodies. In this time of planetary recalibration, there is a call. Subtle but insistent. Can you hear it? What happens when we realign with the cyclical intelligence of Earth, Moon, and Womb? What are the messages stored in our sacred centers, waiting to be heard again? And what becomes possible when we stop trying to master time and instead begin to move with it? Welcome to The Spiral Within. Womb Wisdom, Sacred Cycles, and the Remembrance of Source.
I have the great pleasure and honor to interview my dear sister Hwaneetah. It's not with every guest that we have the opportunity to really speak from the heart, because I had the opportunity to meet Hwaneetah back in 2008, almost 18 years ago, in the United States. We are both from Colombia, but we crossed paths in the United States, in Miami, for through sacred geometry, through a seminar of Drunvalo Melchizedek. And since then, we have been just exploring the spiritual path together, sharing tools, sharing experiences. And it's a great honor to really have you today, dear sister. And please, for those people who are listening and who have never heard about it, just tell us a little bit about yourself, as if we never met together, and you can express in your own words how you ended up doing what you are doing, and how you connected with the 13-month 28-day calendar.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me here, my brother Rubén. So much growth and so much awakening we have done together, and walk up a long portion of our path. So very honored to be here with you both. And so my path, I am also from Colombia, like Rubén, and my path began very early with meditation. My mom taught us meditation at an early stage, so that began to bring us a lot of curiosity to me and my sister. We also lived in very old places when we were young, and we encounter many different energies. When you're little, you're so open, right? So that also sparked the curiosity to immerse in other realities that are here but are not shown. After I graduated from high school, I moved to the United States, and I continued my studies there. I took the full course of meditation and began really to deepen that area, and began to get very interested in our natural cycles as women, because I was having trouble with it. I always feel like all the obstacles in our life get us to open some incredible doors. And for me, it was a pattern of recognizing how trapped I felt, and how much I was repeating my past each cycle. It was almost a cycle of suffering and pain. So I began to dive my spiritual and also scientific studies in all of the woman and our connection to the natural cycles of time. And once Rubén did most of the work and then came with all the teachings, packed in a week of constant talks and understanding and yeah, this disruption of old cycles that we were carrying, I understood that all this that I have been studying, which was walking, more than studying walking, which was all of the cyclic nature of the woman and connection to nature, all of the secondary functions of the womb. I was already walking in this earth path, very connected to nature and to medicine plants and to shamanism, and also with all the knowledge that we both work together with sacred geometry. And once I got to know the calendar, I felt like that was a piece that I was missing, or that was a platform where I could put all of the other tools and they would actually fit together to take me somewhere. For me, this path and the spiritual path, it's all about recognizing the cycles of time. And this calendar is such an opportunity for us to do it in an organized way, in a methodology that has already been recognized. So I was having trouble with my cycles, with my personal feminine cycle. And like I said, I felt trapped. Once I began this spiritual path, I began to notice that there's so many cycles that are happening unconsciously. And all of those cycles that are happening unconsciously to us keep us trapped in a circle that it's not going anywhere. It's just a repetition of the past. And I was so tired of it. So I came to medicine plants for that, to be able to let go of that, so a new understanding, a new perception could be born. And it came right at the time with the calendar. So the spiritual path for me, after my journey with the native tribes and native understandings and living in nature, living in harmony, and scientific spiritual sciences, sacred geometry and music and number, like Jose Argüelles describes it, the the spirit of the universe, or God moves in nature and number, and there are two languages that have marked my life. And they both got integrated with the calendar and with the possibility to recognize those patterns, those cycles that are happening unconsciously and that are binding us into repeating the past and not being able to go forward. So that transformation of walking the circle, and that 13th step that I call it, to that circle becoming the possibility of a spiral, was that piece and that information of the calendar when it was brought to me into my life. Then it allowed me to understand that my spiritual path, or at least from where I see it, is that it's all being able to recognize those patterns and those cycles that are karmic, that are repeating, that are destructive, and creating a concentrated awareness, a certain conscious place those patterns with consciousness. And this is, for me, what the sacred calendar, what the real calendar is bringing to us, a way to again step into consciousness, by understanding both nature and number. It changed my life completely. It allowed me to fit again into a way of measuring the universe, because as a woman it's very hard, right? I think everyone can agree that for any woman it's very hard to fit into this rigid linear calendar. So when I found that there was already there, and that the measurement was perfect, because with Ruben we did so many studies also numerologically, that within us it proved different aspects of this fractal calendar. So it was such a gift. It was such a gift that this calendar came into my life, and in there I understood. So it was the 13th step to go deeper into everything that I was doing, into shedding things that I didn't need, and to find again that link of connection, and that link of connection day to day. Yes, that link of connection to everything else that is around the earth, all the forces that sustain us. So yes, this calendar, yes, entered me into a new possibility. So again, Ruben, I thank you infinitely for being very stubborn with me and my sister Hwaneetah also, and sharing this wisdom with us.
No, thank you so much for that testimony, because it really brings back so many memories of my own journey of understanding of what this technology is, and how it's woven into our own bodies and our own rhythms. And of course, we as men, we don't experience as deep as women the natural cycles of time, especially the moon cycles. And it's such a beautiful thing to, after all these years, to see you empowered and running retreats, combining all these different elements of the spiritual journey that we explored together since the beginning. And we had the opportunity to really go to our first plant medicines together and evolve at the same rhythm. So it's such an honor to hear you speak from such an empowered place. And now that you have you are in Ecuador running retreats with your partner Aime, which I had also the pleasure to meet and to explore his medicine, also so powerful, so humble, so earth bounded. And how now do you integrate this spiritual practice in the retreats that you are offering, and how is this technology of the womb connected to all of it? Can you describe us a little bit about what is this, what you have mentioned in other interviews about this technology of the womb, that is not only part of our bodies, but is as men, we also have like this connection with the womb that we have maybe forgotten. So if you can illustrate us a little bit more about that technology of the womb, and how we can connect, especially for all those men who have never heard about it and who want to connect with their feminine side.
Thank you, Ru. So I like to think that the feminine technology or the feminine principle is the awareness of our feminine energy. And our feminine energy doesn't only limit to gender, it's not limited. It is a dimension of our being, of our humanity. And it's a dimension of our humanity that encompasses intuition, connection, gentleness, compassion, empathy, care, so many more other attributes. And this dimension has been put to the side and left in the corner for a long, long time. We, in this channel, we understand how in time we have done that. We have put the number 13 and the woman, which encompasses that number, to the side, something not to speak of, not to mention, not to be included into everything. And this has brought in tremendous impact in our society, because our level of care, of compassion, of gentleness, of empathy, of everything that encompasses that dimension has been uh, just completely ignored and put down. But these are the times that it's awakening. So we like to think that it's the time to integrate this dimension into all of our lives, not to overpower the masculine dimension, let's say, but just to balance it. Yes, it's kind of like a balance from the head to the heart. Too much power in the head. We always pray for a good heart to catch it for the fall. So there's gotta be always a good balance, a good communication. And the technology of the womb itself, it's the awareness of that inner feminine mechanism within all of us. Within the women, we are so blessed because we have a womb, and it's literal, that connection that happens monthly and throughout our life. how to tap into this mechanism, how to connect to it, and how to remember it, how to reactivate it. The power, I like to call it the technology of the womb, because um, all this technology of the calendar itself, it's embodied in the womb. Yes, it doesn't listen to the feminine nature, doesn't listen to the ordinary clock. Yes, it doesn't follow the ordinary calendar. It listens to something else, and it's still connected to something else bigger than ourselves, bigger than our individual lives. um, and that's very important. It was very important for our elders, this connection that the woman innately still has to the rhythms of the cosmos. As humans, we have a rebellious mindset for a long time, and we have been wanting to interrupt all cycles of nature as we can. We interrupted the cycle of the water, and we see consequences now. We've interrupted the cycles of the air polluting, the cycles of the earth polluting also. And we also interrupted the cycle of time, that in our native culture, it also means that we've interrupted the cycle of the water, because water and time, for our elders, it's the same spirit. It's a very similar spirit, a very similar guardian. So this interruption of the cycles of time has gotten this feminine intuition, this feminine technology, yeah, which is this connection, and the knowing of this connection that happens through us, to be forgotten, to be lost. So we are now, as humanity, walking like a flower that has been cut from its source, wilted and with the shoulders down, with the heart down. And it's a beautiful way to again find um, the purpose behind our cyclic nature, and the meaning to again reconnect to our cyclic nature, both men and women, because all animals are still connected. Yes, we say that the animal world is the only one that hasn't forgotten its purpose, and it remembers. So we are in the process of remembering to to um, to have this shift from what we speak in the teachings of the calendar, that big quantum jump from relating to time linear to relating to time cyclically. Uh, this allows us to access that technology and that source of connection to the rest of the universe. I feel, and I've talked to a lot of people, that most of us, humanity, has felt disconnected for a long time, and we have been. But now we have the opportunity to remember, and the methodology and the steps have been there. So I find it amazing. I find amazing that I call it the technology of the womb, but it's really the technology of the universe that still works through our body. Yes, we in retreats, I don't go too far into the numbers and mathematics, but I do go into the 13 moons of the body. How this movement, yes, movement and measure, right? How this movement and measure of the stars that allows perfect movement without nothing crashing, the perfect miracle of a day of life, it's also present in us, yes, with the 13 main joints, as we know, and I still find it amazing. And then we have also the 20 fingers and the 10 fingers and the 10 toes, and we also have 28 bones as the sum of both hands and then the feet. So we have that rhythm that moves at least part of our solar system in sync. We have it in us. And how with it again, if you're a woman, you have that moon function, that connection within you. Every time we menstruate, we say we enter in communion with the sun, because the sun also sustains this rhythm, and everything that is happening on the earth, it's sustained by the relationship of the sun and the moon. What's integrated in the calendar, right? The sun and the moon tones, the sundials and the moon tones, the masculine and the feminine energy together again, not one overpowering, but both time. Mm, when we work with retreats, part of our our mission is to allow most of the space for the plants. We work with the master plant of Grandma Ayahuasca, and we work with our beloved Grandpa San Pedro, cactus medicine from here, from Ecuador and the Andes. And I've always felt like part of their job is to are artificial and that are binding us or limiting us. And one of those, part of the work that they're doing and that I have seen in me and many others, it's that part of deconstructing our relationship to time. We're not necessarily with the wonderful and clear concepts that the calendar has left us, but in different ways. At least a part of deconstruction, it does. We always like to say that most of the work of the medicine is to take away. So what's there, what's real, can become. And that's the movement that we feel that it's happening nowadays. Yes, coming back to the earth, coming back to the natural time. First of all, to have the luxury, the ability, the gift to have time in your hands, to realize time so you can choose, so we can begin to move away from the past in a different way with hope. Uh, so part of the work that I see that in the retreats, it's already done. It's the plant medicines, deconstructing all the limitations. Yeah, and part of it, it's a concept of time, because it's a concept that is rigid, very rigid for us, specifically for us women, but for all of us, for all that feminine dimension. It's very rigid. I always like to say that for us women to try to fit into this 1260 calendar, it's like trying to fit a round peg into a square hole. It's impossible. There's no way of fitting it. We can play with it, but it's impossible. We are literally, we embody that glitch of the matrix that we speak of, that glitch of this calendar. It's that number 13 that we women embody. So we must begin to learn to align. Yeah, of course, the Gregorian calendar is there for anything we need, but also that internally we can be connected to a cyclic, natural rhythm of time. It's so important for us humans to remember the process of life itself. And I love how this calendar just embodies all of the process of life. Everything, it's a process. It takes a step. It takes time from the seed to nourish it, to refine it, to transform it, to ripen. Yes, everything is a process, and we as humans, we have forgotten that. I feel like one of the things that we speak of the most in the retreat is the necessity for pause. We speak of pause as being the ultimate rhythm nowadays. And it's really what sustains the pause. That's why I have the drum in the background. I always like to, we play music when we are in ceremonies and in lodges and in rituals. So it's so beautiful that we have a good rhythm. In the retreats, I always open at least an hour or two to speak about the calendar and the possibility to follow a different way. And we include a little bit of it, but I always begin to play the drum, and I'm like, imagine in ceremony if I have a good rhythm, I would probably drive you crazy. So the importance of the rhythm, it's in the pause, and playing instruments, living life, everything works in a rhythm, and it's so important. In ceremony and the plant medicines, that they make you understand deeper truths that maybe with ordinary perception we wouldn't, or I wouldn't. But how incredible is that the sun has a rhythm, and everything movement up in the stars, because if not, we wouldn't be here. It wouldn't be impossible. Yeah, the tilt of the earth, how long is a day, everything depends on the relationship mostly of the sun and the moon. Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's a symphony around us that our ancestors mapped it. Yes, and it's here for us now with the technology and the most advanced society so far that we speak of. Now we can actually access it and practice it and begin to see the results. I remember our elders, Rubén, so many elders that we've sat with, but a lot of them had a message in common, and they spoke about this next 1 to 2 years. They said 2025 to the beginnings of 2026, where we were gonna be accessing more light in the universe than ever before. And I feel like we are at that pivotal moment. And the medicines have also shown us, yes, the medicines are for us spirits that have been here longer than us. Yes, we say that ayahuasca has been scientifically proven to be here before the Ice Age. So they are plants that hold so much wisdom. And they've also shown us a pivotal time that it's coming, that we must choose. But to choose, it's important to have some options. So yes, so in the retreats, we encourage people to take those options and to begin to acknowledge the benefits of walking in a feminine cyclic way again, to take a pause with the moon. How can we connect with it? If we're a woman, we connect with our menstruation. If we are women that don't menstruate, it's okay because there's another moon, the moon above us. So we follow that cycle. And if we want to go further, of course, and we follow the whole calendar. But just to begin, one of the rituals that we've had for over 12 years here with my husband is to give an offering to the earth every new moon. We have never failed, always because we are so grateful to her. But also to mark a cyclic nature for the whole family, for the whole community. It's so beautiful because this ritual, we usually share it, and then people go back to homes and they begin to share it with others. And we have people coming from all parts of the world that now every new moon they stop, they do a little recap of the month just to close a cycle, a conscious cycle, a smaller little cycle. And then we give thanks for everything that happened and pray for a good month ahead. And so far, it's been such a beautiful relationship to build in this cyclic living, this taking a pause as a community, as a family. The kids love this practice. I have so many families sending me pictures of the offerings that they do with the kids. What do we offer? We offer everything, a little bit of everything we have in our kitchen, a little tobacco, a little incense, maybe a little crystal if we have. We always offer little medicines. A lot of the times we bake little cakes or something for her. But it can be as simple as just putting some grains and just recognizing the closure of a cycle. The moon and our inner cyclic nature as females, it has such a big impact on ourselves and on everything around us. That's why part of the technology of the womb, I call it, because the capacities of the womb are so much more greater than are accredited in this modern society. Yeah, the capacities of the womb, of course, to create life, but also it has secondary functions that help sustain the environment around us. So it's so important to connect, and one of the ways to connect is to begin to follow your cyclic nature, to charge your energy levels. I always like to say that I love the saying that goes, there's a time and a place for everything. With this calendar, we understand that now, but from experience, because we enter into synchronicity. We have a say. We have we are part of the cost, not only dealing with the consequences like in this Gregorian calendar. And for women, there's a time and a place for everything. It's a basic guide of survival. So it's so important to connect with your cyclic nature, and the only guide that is left for us there now, well, it's this calendar. Yes, because this calendar also functions, and it can also overlap and show you, okay, the Gregorian calendar is this, but here we're this. So we can function with both, with the masculine and feminine, with everything that supports our well-being. Yeah, not only what we're offered. It's a time for us to access it also through our cyclic nature. Yes, one of the other cycles that we as humans have interrupted is our cyclic nature of women, and it's as bad as having been interrupting the cycle of the water, because the cycle of the water and the cycle of women is very, very similar, and it has a lot of the same qualities that the water and the nourishment of the water brings to us. So this cycle has been tampered with, and this cycle was our only way of connecting. Yeah, miraculously, the moon is still there. Although it's not included in the Gregorian calendar, we can still look up and see the moon and chart it, and begin to observe how the moon makes us feel. It's so important as human beings to know when it's at least new moon and full moon. Those are just the basics. Because the effect, whether we know it or not, whether we understand it or not, the effect of the new moon and the full moon is that it's going to amplify exactly how you're feeling. And it has happened to all of us, right? We've had those bad days, and yeah, it falls on new moon and or a full moon, and you don't know, and everything gets amplified. Everything gets amplified. More fights, more everything, more chaos. So how about if we were conscious? Okay, it's gonna be new moon, so I'm gonna do a longer morning practice or do a longer meditation, and I'm gonna consciously cultivate what I want the moon to amplify in me. That's very smart, I feel, of our ancestors to do it so long ago. So now we talk of technology, just of something outside of us, but with these ways here we are remembering, including this calendar, including this wonderful way of connecting again to the real movement and the real time. It's to bring back this movement into our lives so we can connect back to that source and to again become the channel of connection to this feminine energy to move through us. With medicine and with much meditation and time in nature, I began to feel that we can all embody that nature or that spirit that we would like to. And this feminine nature, it's time for us to call it an reawakening. And part of it, it's living cyclically, creating a pause. We see now how most of us, and in the cities especially, everyone is living and making decisions like if we are going in a train 100,000 miles an hour. It's so speed, everything happens so fast, and the go nature of humanity, that how are we eating like this? How are we sustaining well-being? How are we making good decisions at this speed? That's a key ingredient that we're missing in our life, and it comes from the feminine nature, which is to pause, to hold the space. Yeah. So that pause has to be, again, another ingredient for our lives, for real well-being to come into nature, into humanity, into the nature of our mind, at least.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you for everything you have shared this afternoon with us. It's really, for me, it's such a blessing and an opportunity to give thanks to have you here, and for those people who want to explore more and know more about you. Well, we have all the links on the description of this video.
I work with Aiju medicine. Aiju, which is means family. So it means family, medicine family. So if you would like to find out, you can find my offerings there. Moon sessions, where we also, of course, speak about 13 moons, the relationship with time, because that's part of women, that's part of us. And I do active readings, energy readings, and guidance. We hold retreats here from November to June each year, and soon, maybe by June or July of next year, a 13 retreat to change time.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the gestation period right now, that 13 moon workshop, and I'm looking forward for it, and would be honored to be there and share time, quality time together, share ceremony, share the wisdom of the plants, all these technologies that we have had the opportunity to learn, and that now, after 18 years, we can share them with more people that are on that same spiritual journey that we embarked 18, 20 years ago. So thank you so much for everything you are doing. Thank you for sharing it with us tonight. And we look forward for the next one. I hope that the universe conspires to bring us together soon, and we can share more sacred space. It would be amazing that you can hold like a little ceremony, a little sacred space for the golden intersection of timelines there with Aimee, and celebrate life. Celebrate life on a daily basis. It's more simpler than we have thought that it is. So again, I honor you. I feel grateful for crossing paths with you and being part of that family, that ILU family. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Rubén. Thank you both for everything. It's really an honor to see you and to share just a little bit of what you have taught me.
In Lakesh, we are one.
Hey, beautiful souls. Can we talk about something real for a minute? Have you ever felt like your body is out of sync? Like the world's rhythm is just running on a different beat than yours? I know I felt it. For most of us, our cycles, our energy, emotions, even our periods, feel like they're at odds with everything around us. But here's the thing, it's not you, sis. It's the way time has been handed to us. This artificial calendar that ignores the natural flow of our biology. What if I told you there's another way? A way that actually aligns with our bodies and the natural rhythms of life. There's a rhythm we've been disconnected from. A calendar based on 13 cycles, or moons, each 28 days long. Sound familiar? That's because it matches the average menstrual cycle. And if you think about it, over the course of a year, a woman releases 13 eggs. See how this rhythm is literally built into us? It's no coincidence. Our bodies, the moon, and the earth are all speaking the same language. We've just forgotten how to listen. And here's where it gets even better. When we align with this rhythm, we don't just sync with ourselves. We start syncing with the women around us too. Sisters, friends, partners. Our cycles naturally harmonize when we spend time together, just like the phases of the moon. It's wild and beautiful how nature brings us together. Living in sync with natural time isn't just about tracking periods. It's about reclaiming our power. When we align with the 13 moon, 28-day rhythm, we invite balance and flow into every area of our lives, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. No more pushing through burnout or feeling out of step with the world's demands. Instead, it's about moving through life in a way that feels right, that honors when it's time to rest, to create, to grow, and to release. This shift has been transformational for me, and I know it can be for you too. Your energy changes when you step into this rhythm. Your creativity flows, your relationships deepen, and yes, your period becomes less of a battle and more of a cycle that you can trust. There's a reason we're seeing more and more women reconnect with nature. Whether it's through wellness practices, moon tracking, or just tuning into their bodies. The 13 moon 28-day calendar is part of this movement. It offers us something this modern world can't, a return to harmony. This isn't about being perfect. It's about finding a flow that feels right for you. It's about saying, I'm done living by someone else's timeline. I'm choosing a rhythm that honors who I am. Imagine how life would shift if we all did this. if we lived on a rhythm that aligns with nature and our own biology. We'd be more connected to ourselves, more in sync with each other, and way more at peace with the flow of life. Here's my invitation to you. Try it out. Track your days using the 13 moon 28-day rhythm. There are apps and tools that make it easy, like the synchronometer. Start noticing how your body responds. Do your emotions shift? Does your energy feel more balanced? Do your cycles sync with the moon, or even with the women close to you? Give it time and see what happens. And when you do, let me know. Share your experiences. DM me, comment, whatever feels right. I'd love to hear how this rhythm shows up in your life, because we're all on this journey together. This isn't just a calendar change, it's a revolution. It's a way for us to reconnect with ourselves, each other, and the natural flow of life. We don't have to live by the artificial timelines the world sets for us. We are the rhythm. We are the flow. And when we align with that truth, life just feels different. Like we're finally living in harmony with who we were always meant to be. So here's to reclaiming our cycles, our power, and our peace. One moon, one cycle, one rhythm at a time.
All right. In Lakesh, everyone. Wow. I just give so much gratitude to our guest today, Sister Hwaneetah, Kin 165, Solar Serpent. I want to emphasis on the solar tone. I was reflecting on the fact that all three of us are solar tone. And what's more, as I recall, I think Ishel was sharing, when you combine our kin, you get kin 144. So I think that's a beautiful frequency, 1, 4, and 4 being 9 as well, just reflective of that solar frequency. So profound sharing from her. We give really great thanks to her and to her partner, her husband, their family, what they're holding in terms of space in Ecuador. Profound hub it feels at this moment, really. So I'm very grateful for your long-time friendship with Hwaneetah, and all these many years, your mutual journeying and being able to really have, as you were sharing, that awareness of each other's process and evolution, and just to see in the beauty of these long relationships where we are now. It's really something to cherish and to celebrate.
Yes, we are so fortunate to be able to share life with women like Hwaneetah, like Giselle, like Alejandra, that we learn so much from every day, that they are really our teachers, that they are bringing us back to that natural rhythm.
Back to life.
Back to life.
Back to life. Yeah. Wow. It's phenomenal. And it's of the time. We're in that beautiful time of rebalancing. Regardless of how it may look on the 3D, there's a sweeping shift happening, and it looks like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Though certainly, as our guest was emphasizing, the purpose, the value of tuning in with this technology of the womb, and also how that finds its reflection through the 13 moon calendar, the 28-day calendar. As we've been promoting that, obviously, for years, recognizing the shift is in that rebalancing. And so just grateful to witness this coming to greater fruition in terms of more women recognizing and sharing it. I mean, recognizing they've been sharing with many, many people at their space in Ecuador, that they're pulsing many people at various levels with this knowledge is such a refreshing thing to know. It just really gives me a lot of encouragement to hear that. So
Me too. Me too. And
yeah,
and to be able to expand this information in such a beautiful atmosphere like nature, so that the this technology, next to the plants, next to the breathing, next to the simple rituals like offerings, they are like this sacred bundle of medicines that we are all in time to reconnect with. And going back from that paradigm of the mind and into the heart, and bringing back that balance between mind and heart, masculine and feminine,
yeah,
holding sacred space with our sacred partners. So it's such a beautiful time to be alive and to be a witness and a protagonist of this shift
yeah.
in awareness.
A participant. As
Yes.
all our friends and kin in the chat who've been tuning in along this adventure together, really, I just want to really big up everybody who's staying tuned, actually, along this spiral, really recognizing we're spiraling more and more into the heart of the matter, the heart of our current situation on a collective and individual level. It's both and. So as we have this opportunity to really go within, we're not going within alone. We're going within all one.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that unity frequency that is coming through. It's that return to the unity, the awareness of oneness, the circle of life, the spiral of time, the mutuality of it all, the cooperation, the nature of nature being cooperation, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So beautiful to see and feel how they are holding space in Ecuador, living into that. And then also how that really connects with what's coming up now as we continue to look forward on the timeline. Ishelle is pointing out in the chat to remind us that in a couple of days, Kin 79 is not only the beginning of that blue storm wave spell, it's also Noosphere Day, the Noosphere Constant Day specifically. And for folks to appreciate what that means in a nutshell, the noospheric constant is the difference between the sum 520 and the sum 441. And so that difference is considered the noospheric constant, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes, it's the interval in between. Let's remember that that Earth's mental field, the noosphere, is comprised by 8 plates. Each plate is a Solkin matrix, and it has a northern pole and a southern pole. So combined, each of those is 520 units, have one plate of the bank. So since that's kind of the module, one entire module of the noosphere is 520 units, and the number 441 is a representative of the matrix of the unity of totality, being totality 20 plus 1 aspect, which is the organizing principle, Hunapku, spirit, whatever we want to call it. That 21 by 21 is 441. So together, these two matrices, they keep these poles, these mental poles of the earth, the telepathic field alive. And 79 is that interval, that difference between the two, the 520 and the 441. And that's why Jose defined it as the noosphere constant, because those two layers of the noosphere are connected through that number, to that frequency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's auspicious just to also make that conscious now as we track that just being aware that's coming up in a couple of days. So as you learn more about natural time, as Hwaneetah was even sharing, like there are the basic layers of, okay, get in tune with the new moon and the full moon cycles. Those are anchors in natural timing. Those are constants as well. And then as you apply the various layers, you get into the other cycles and how cyclic counts are kept, and you begin to realize these various intervals, as you know, you're explaining in terms of the difference between the 441 matrix as well as the 520. There are other matrices as well, or matrices rather, that we are looking at also, but these are very important ones in terms of the timing. I mean, one such matrix as well then is a 13-month, 28-day calendar, for example.
Yes.
That's another example. And that does work directly with the 260-day count. It works also with that noospheric level, or the Cybank count of each day. So each day also has its Cybank coordinate. So it's just a lot of different things to keep track of, or just be aware of, just depending upon the various aspect of which you are tuning in. I think another way of looking at it is really fine tuning. That's what we're doing here as we near the golden intersection of timelines. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, these numbers that are going, we're keeping the count of days basically up to this moment. And it's an important moment. And this is why obviously we're devoted to emphasizing this and bringing this to as many people's attention as possible, so that people can take that moment, those couple of days, as a pause. Like literally, as Hwaneetah was mentioning, like really pausing. If ever there's a time to pause, I would recommend doing yourself the highest favor and just committing to pausing those few days. Wherever you are, like get into nature, get off of the devices, and really just tune within and pause, because that's a beautiful golden moment to connect with this wave, this new wave. There's a new wave coming through, and to get on this wave, in a sense, is to really take pause at this time. While everything else appears to be going through some form of mayhem, you have to be able to hold space for that while not getting swept up into the undertow of that, because that's not going to be a very, wise place to be if you know the behavior of the ocean and the shore. So, in light of this, in light of nature, we want to really take heed, and really go into the heart. So I wanted to perhaps mention also that we are, as of today, 127 days to the golden intersection of timelines. So we've been continuing to keep this count. And as we keep the count, we're also really inviting people to come to Palenque and meet us there. We're just putting out a very organic call around that right now. We're also organizing some things as we get closer to the dates that we're excited to share with folks. But we really want to encourage you to make a plan to be in Palenque and meet up with us there. Hold space together with us if you're inclined to do so. Wherever you are in the world, of course, we're certainly encouraging you to just take a pause for the cause for those few days, with a clear intention to really get into nature, get into the heart, and get into sync, with this beautiful moment, and really bring awareness to what is happening in many ways is a unified synchronization. There's a synchronization of these timelines. Not only is there an intersection of them, there's really a synchronization of them that we're actually getting to witness in a very profound way. And so what the effect of this Gregorian calendar has been for 443 years is literally getting subsumed in harmony by the indigenous count.
Yes.
It's literally getting subsumed. And what's more is there are microcycles also that have emerged in this process that's emergent literally over the past 8 years or so, in terms of an awareness of this golden intersection, where these microcycles are also intersecting in
Yeah.
a unique, very unique way. What to mention the resonance of the banner of peace and the anchor of Nicholas Roerich's signature and his wife and her signature, really anchoring both ends of that cycle of the Gregorian calendar, of that
Yeah.
161,803 days. I mean, in that 802, 803 days, you don't get more concise or precise than that, frankly.
Yeah.
So it's just, witnessing that is very, very auspicious. And so we're really inviting people to raise their awareness to this, to save the date, and to really join us in Palenque. Again, if you are really feeling the resonance and a call, follow that, tune into that. Be open to that then. If you really feel a resonance with what this really represents for you, as well as really what it represents, I think, for our collective consciousness on the planetary scale, it's a profound moment. And more people will be aware of this as we get nearer the date. It is truly, though, an organic thing. And it's also important to understand it's really prioritizing, putting first the original peoples. So really going in honor and reverence. It's not a tourist experience in that sense. It is truly a synchronization with the community of these original inhabitants and original timekeepers. Or holding a certain frequency that extends before colonization. So how to help support that and amplify their wisdom, and also recognize, where we can be of cooperation as a
Yes.
as a cooperative, internationally speaking. That's really the move, and that's really the nature of how this is really evolving. And so we look forward to growing and continuing to grow our relationship with these communities, because we're all in this together, really.
Yes.
It's time on the planet. So cooperation is really, in any way, it's an example of the way nature operates. It cooperates. It cooperates.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also this theme of returning to the origin is really returning to the origin of the spiral. At the center of that spiral is that golden proportion, the mathematical principle that governs and orchestrates all events and all forms in this universe. And connecting with that principle, which is really, we call it on the synchronometer the love intelligence, connecting with that love intelligence, that frequency that is pulsing through every cell of us. Our DNA is also measured and synchronized by that proportion, so that we can become antennas for that energy, that love intelligence, to really create miracles here on earth. Let's remember that our heart is actually that origin, or that womb of creation. Everything comes from that sacred space of the heart. And this is an incredible opportunity to really go in and connect with that pulse, with that intelligence that is pulsing through us, and from there create a new reality, a new possibility for us and for the coming generations. So everything that we are going to do in Palenque during those days is going to be connected to that unification of counts, unification of past, present, and future, so that we can really experience a glimpse of unity consciousness, and be an embodiment of that consciousness, at least for a couple of days.
Absolutely. So as you can see, the dates that we're inviting people to show up or anchor in with us from wherever you are is really October 10, which is kin 200 in the galactic synchronometer and the 1328 and the 260 galactic count, kin 200, overtone sun. And that is synchronizing with October 10 through October 17, which beautifully, synchronistically, happens to be kin 207. Tell them about kin 207.
Yeah, that's the galactic signature of December 21st, 2012. And it's also, that's going to be the birthday of one of the elders that we see on screen, grandfather Mario, who is Maya Lacandon, community leader, and who is the person, really the being who is holding the frequency within the jungle more like farther from Palenque, at a place called actually La Canja, a small town, small village. So we are going to have the opportunity to celebrate his birthday there on that last day. So that's why this is a family reunion. We
It
want
really
to
is.
keep it
It
as
really is.
a family, and we will have also Abuelo Nico. We pray also for both
Yes.
of them as they are going through some medical situations right now. And we are sure that all of this energy that we are gathering is going to bring to Palenque also much love and light and good vibrations that are so needed right now all around the planet. And from that point, radiate to all other sacred places on Earth.
Mm, 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 mm. So most certainly save the date and make a plan. We look forward to connecting with you there for sure. Obviously, we're still holding this space every 7 days, this being episode 36, which has been profound, really beautiful. I mean, so much in even the number 36, if we're being honest. You know, that's the frequency of the cube, and 6 times 6 being 36, and recognizing what it really means to have the science of the womb being the conversation, because really the cosmic womb is what we were also being shown by our guest in that regard, and just the relationship with this and how that is so profoundly connected with the completion of 13 tunes since again December 21st, 2012. So the relationship and the resonance with these numbers and these various factors that we're seeing, it's called harmonic factor because it's more than one factor. It's multiple factors.
Yeah.
And that's how you get harmony, right? Harmony is not just one voice, it's multiple voices. So we're witnessing something quite profound. And also, as Hwaneetah mentioned, something we're looking forward to is this window of 2025 through 2027, regarded, according to Richard Rudd, as that rhythmic symphony. So I'm paying attention to the energy and the words that our relatives all around the world are using as we're all speaking about this wave, this next wave. We're entering a new cycle, so it's remarkable to witness that. And so I just give great thanks, man. Thanks for the opportunity to enjoy this together with you and our loved ones and all our relatives out there across the planet. We encourage you also to like and subscribe, obviously, to the Harmonic Factor channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty exciting for us. We haven't really set out with much of a marketing plan for this, as you can probably tell, other than our organic efforts to just pulse this information out there. But we certainly appreciate everybody out there liking and subscribing to the channel. It certainly helps the algorithm, as you all know, the spiel that everybody likes to say. So those factors do make a difference. So be sure to do that and spread some word about us out there on social media. we're certainly excited to, continue to create a space out there in this digital sphere, as long as we have that, as we make this transition, and certainly being deliberate again about taking that pause is wise. So building in, I'm definitely receiving that message today for myself, because I spent a lot of time, obviously, in the digital space to provide this offering. However, really, really tuning in more in the heart and more in the earth, close to home, wherever you are. That's the wisdom of the time. I don't want to neglect to share with people a little sneak peek into the coming synchronometer that we will have available soon come.
Yes.
So hold in there with us. We're coming with the next edition. It's going to be a very special one, though, y'all. So it's well worth the wait. But just hold in there, because it's going to include, obviously, we're moving into the golden intersection of timelines. Not only that, this is also, as we mentioned earlier, the International Year of Cooperatives. What does that mean when that's observed internationally in the month of Gregorian October, at this most interesting, auspicious time? So we're going to be exploring what that really means. What does it mean in the year of the 90th anniversary of the signing of the Rourke Peace Pact and the Banner of Peace, that is still actually a binding treaty? So as we activate that treaty through our own efforts, keeping that frequency range of possibility of actually safeguarding these spaces, and just really understand how this synchronometer participates in that relationship, in terms of really putting the frequency on a planetary scale, that the earth is a work of art that we are charged to protect, particularly during times of grievous conflict, and being conscious and cognizant to the importance of preserving and protecting the humanities and the antiquities and the spaces of art, science, and spirituality, period, for the sake of culture, global peace through culture. So that's just a sense and a glimpse into, again, the qualities that are all synchronizing and galvanizing many, many milestones over the past century, really coming into focus right now. So it's, again, thank you for all those tuning in and tapping in and staying with us and staying the course on this journey, as we certainly look forward to bringing some new energy with the new synchronometer for what will be the yellow resonant seed year. So, just a snapshot, though. This has been the year, obviously, of organization and balance, really, and the catalyzation of this energy, like a storm, the self-generative effect of that. I don't know, it's fairly self-evident that this year has really been about that. We made it through the 11th moon, the moon of dissolving, the moon of liberation, into now moving into the crystal tone of cooperation, which is profound when you consider, again, like we said at the top of the broadcast, this entire moon is coded by Kin 103, blue crystal night. And we know the International Day of Cooperatives, July 5 July 2025, bears that galactic signature. So that's somehow a very poetic, it seems, weaving, again, just another stitch in the synchronous weaving that we are really navigating together. So
the clues are coming out.
It just continues to be remarkable. It is a little bit like a what to say, like a surreal, and it feels like a little bit of a I don't want to say a treasure hunt, but I will say this, and I'll say this in closing, and people can go check this out. One movie that was brought to our attention very recently by King Etznab that people might want to go revisit was the Nicolas Cage movie from the year 2007, and that being called A National Treasure, Book of Secrets. And in that movie, it gets really descript in terms of identifying the original peoples. So I just want to mention that to folks in terms of what's something to be aware of, because that does indicate part of what's being remembered and revealed at this time, and that really being related to the original inhabitants, the original peoples of the earth around the entire planet, and in particular those referred to as the Olmec, and those being the progenitors or providers, the ones prior to even the classic Maya and the pre-classic Maya and the post-classic Maya. So it's important to know those relationships. But I just say in terms of the energy being very auspicious and it being like a revealing, it being, that's a part of this process as well. And so knowing some of those markers and milestones on our collective timeline are very significant to know, especially now in a window since 2012 when the indigenous community worldwide has greater agency to stand together. And that's a part of this wave that I'm speaking of. That's a part of the wave that's coming through. And there are precedents that actually indicate that the entire world does have some level of acknowledgement to that. So, we give great
time for the new systems to come on board, to come alive, and certainly this is one of them, and the way of cooperatives is an essential part of how we start to really break free from that zero-sum game and create like a new paradigm, a new container to cooperate.
To literally cooperate. We're in the moon of cooperation, y'all. So we love you. Thank you for tuning in and staying tuned with the Galactic Spin Podcast. We look forward to being in tune very, very soon.
Tune in with the Galactic Spin Podcast and expand your view. Tune in